Hello, so this is Pathmaker channel here on YouTube. My name's Ryan. This will be my first time doing a video, and the video I want to do today is a dream I had when I was 6 years old, and it was a rapture dream. And the reason why I think I had the dream was for several reasons. First, so I was 6 years old and I wanted to get saved and I wanted to do it right. So I told my mom, or my parents, that I wanted the pastor to come over and that I wanted to say the prayer and do it the right way. And that was, I guess, the way I wanted to do it. So it was probably either like the springtime, maybe in the summer. I'm trying to remember. Seemed like that. And it was a Saturday afternoon, and I sat on the pastor's lap, and he led a prayer and explained to me what salvation was, and so I did that. Well, my mom, she didn't think I understood what that meant, or what salvation was, and was I just doing it for, something else, my own agenda or something, or did I really get saved? So she prayed, and she asked the Lord to show her. Well, that night I had a dream, and this is my dream. So we lived on a hill, and I had some steps going down in the front yard, and the street that I lived on, pretty much everybody on our side of the street was on a hill, and then everybody on the other side of the street was just flat ground. So we overlooked all the houses across the street. And my parents were standing on the front of the porch at a landing at the top of the steps, and I was standing there with them. And it appeared to be like the springtime. It like a squall line, a storm had come in, and dark clouds were rolling in, and it appeared to be like a orangish kind of look in the sky. And my two brothers that I grew up with were in the front yard, and they were playing with one of those balls you get like at Kmart or Walmart. They have like the swirly look to them, and they were playing with that in the front yard. And when this storm was kind of rolling in, the wind picked up and carried the ball, and it went into the neighbor's yard, and one of my brothers ran over to pick it up. And about that same time, I looked up in the sky above the trees at the neighbor's house across the street, and I could see this silhouette of a really dark figure, and I knew it was satanic. I didn't know if it was, at the time, I didn't know if it was the Antichrist or if it was Satan or what, but I just knew it was demonic. And I looked down to the street, and we had a telephone pole, power pole, telephone pole at the street, and the grass was all green except this one spot in the yard near that power pole, and it was kind of yellowish color, like a burnt, or how Bermuda grass looks during the wintertime. And I knew I needed to go stand in that spot. So I ran down the steps, ran down the driveway, and my brothers passed me on the driveway and went up the steps and stood on the top landing with my parents. And I went and stood in the spot. Well, as soon as I stood in the spot, everything that was dark and the figure, the silhouette face that was in the sky, it went away. And from one end of the sky to the other end of the sky, I saw this, what appeared to be like a brilliant gold city, like heaven. And I knew that I had to run back up the driveway and up the steps to get back with my family on this landing. So I ran up the driveway, I ran up the steps, and just before my foot hit the landing, so my foot was on the last step and then the landing that they were on. And when my foot touched the landing, in an instant we were gone. And I remember, it was just we were taken off and lifted up and being raptured. And I didn't even know what a rapture was at the time. I was 6, so it was all new to me. And for a split second, I stopped. And I remember looking back, and I could see the earth below, that we were a great distance away from the earth. And then I was just rushed again. And then when the next scene was, I was standing in heaven. And it was weird because everything in front of me was this beautiful landscape of like flowing grass, and I could just see for miles and miles and miles. And the strange thing is there was like this dark void behind me that I couldn't see it. I just knew it was there, because everything in front of me is the only thing I was paying attention to or focused on. And I looked over, and everybody was wearing white. And everybody looked to be about the same age, late 20s or maybe 30 years old. And there was different color hair, but everybody was wearing white. And they were all facing the same direction. We were all looking in that same direction. And the next thing I know, the scene shifted, and I was inside like a great foyer of a house. And in this foyer, there was a staircase that went up on both sides, and we were all, I wouldn't say crammed, but there was a bunch of us standing in the foyer, and it was a huge foyer. I mean, it was a huge foyer of a big, large house. And at the top of the steps was this double doors, these white double doors of a room, and I didn't know what it was. And all of a sudden, the doors opened, and Jesus came out. And I knew it was Jesus because of what he was wearing, the white, and he had like a sash. And I could see the embroidered, like a gold embroidered type, really pretty embroidered on the wrist of the robe there, whatever he was wearing. And he stretched out his arms, and I could see the piercings in his like right at his hands and his wrist. And when he raised his hands up, he said, "Come, eat." And so the scene changed, and I was standing up in that room. And in that room, it was a great dining room. And you've probably seen some of these online. I've seen them on Facebook. I've seen them on YouTube. Other people have used them for thumbnail pictures of their videos. And it's a long table that has been, seated. It has like the chairs on both sides, and the table setting is all there. All the silverware and the plates and the glasses, and even the flowers and the plants down the center of the table. And they were really nice chairs. I've never seen a table and chairs like this. And at the other end of the table, it was a really long table. There was a brilliant, bright light, and I knew it was God at the other end of the table. And then that was the end of my dream, and I woke up. So the next morning, I got up and was telling my mom about it. And I didn't know this, but she told me later on in life that, that's what she had done. She had prayed and asked that the Lord would show her that I understood what had happened. Well, to be honest, that was the foundation of my, if you want to call it Christianity, but I prefer to be believer. That's what my foundation was set on. My foundation was set on the hope of a rapture. My foundation was set on the fact that it was not only just a rapture, but it was a pre-trib rapture, because there was business as usual. My brothers were playing in the front yard. I was standing on the front porch, and we were just outside watching life go on, and a storm pass, and what seemed to be springtime. So all these years, and of course other dreams that I've had, I've dreamed about springtime. And my goal is to share more of these dreams that I've had over the years, and I've got a few that I'm gonna record here briefly and try to upload as well, because I want this channel to be about salvation and giving people encouragement through dreams. And I've used it over the years. I haven't used this platform. I mean, I've used one-on-one talking to people. I've shared my dreams with many over the years. I mean, what would be now 41 plus years I've been sharing this dream, which kicked off I guess a life of dreaming, because I dream all the time. I have dreams after my dad passed, and my grandparents, and other things that have, God has used, dreams to speak to me or to encourage me and to also encourage other people. And so, I know time's short, and of course there's some other dreams that I had that are gonna, that probably reveals that. But I feel like through the Song of Solomon, winter's past and springtime is here, and come away my love, and just things that the Lord has shown us through His word that He is coming soon. And I feel like we do know the time and the season, just like Paul said. And he said, "We'll know perfectly the day," is what he wrote. I just don't think we're going to know like maybe the minute or the hour, but I think we're going to know the day, because there's some couple videos that you can watch. You can look it up, but there's scriptures where it showed that Jesus folded His face cloth, and it symbolized that He was coming back, and He was going to come back to finish with that meal. And the same thing applied, because Jesus said to His disciples that at the Last Supper that He wasn't going to drink from this cup. He wasn't going to have that meal again until we were together again in the kingdom. So to me, it's He's desiring to eat that meal with us again. And I think the marriage supper of the Lamb with His bride that He's been putting together for 2,000 years, and we've come to that time. And on top of that, Israel turns 73 on the Gregorian calendar on May 14th. They turned 73, and Jesus said that everything would be fulfilled, and this generation wouldn't pass. Means that everything would happen before this generation passed. And there's a prophecy in Psalm 90:10. It says, that the generation is 70 years, and if by strength 80. So it's not going to go past 80. Well, if Israel is 73, May 14th, and you add 7 years to that, that's 80 years. So He even told the disciples this. He said, they asked, how many times should you forgive? And He said 70 times 7. Well, 7 times 70 is 490 years, and their years of captivity would be 490 years. Well, it's only been 483 years, according to Daniel. So they got 7 years left of captivity, and that's the 7-year tribulation, because it's the time of Jacob's trouble. It's not the Gentile or the bride's trouble. It's Jacob's trouble. It's Israel. So that's where we're headed. And I probably talked long enough. I'm going to talk in some other videos, but come to Christ. It's important. Time is very, very, very short. We're in the month of Abib according to God's calendar, I believe, and some other people that I follow, Dr. Barry Ah and God a Minute and Sword of God. There's several of them out there. I can go on. The list goes on. Blue Heaven, channels that I've followed for years. J.D. Farag's a good one to go watch. He does some pretty good biblical prophecies. He's been doing for like 15 years. He's been doing these on every weekend. So so the time is short. Passover is possibly when the full moon happens next week on the 26th, and Resurrection Day would be on the 29th, possibly the 30th, which is the 17th day of the month, which would the dead in Christ raised. There were some dead that resurrected when Jesus was resurrected, and I believe that was symbolic of the first fruit barley harvest, which is what we are. So anyways, I'm gonna cut this video now and try to get it uploaded. Hopefully everything will go smooth. But I just wanted to start doing some videos and encouraging other people with my dreams, and so hopefully I'm gonna get some more dreams up. So anyways, thanks for watching, and time's short.